Hello, Rebecca of Carnivore Wellness here, and today I want to talk about embodiment and what that means to me and how it has revealed itself in my life and transformed my experience in the day-to-day. So, embodiment for me means that I am being mindfully present and aware and within my body. It sounds so simple, but for a person like me who has spent years disconnecting from my body intentionally for fear of feeling the hard feelings that have arisen within, I have spent a lot of time dissociating and disconnecting from my body. I've spoken about that before in my struggles with binge eating and how binge eating was a protective method and means for me to get out of my body and not have to feel the discomfort of hard feelings, emotions, experiences, etc. Great news, I'm doing really well with the binge eating stuff. I feel like it has been released and I'm not engaging in those binge eating behaviors anymore, which is awesome. But I'm still continuing to work with this idea of living in my full self-expression and embodying the person that I want to be and embodying what it means to be me. But that can be this kind of big catch-all word that doesn't really have any bearing or grounding in the day-to-day when we're just using it kind of in the what's the word? Kind of ethereal sort of terms of, be embodied. Well, for me, that looks like being mindfully present, and it has showcased itself in the way that I'm no longer clumsily getting hurt all the time. Now, I have just for a long time accepted that, I'm a clumsy person. I'm always so clumsy. I'm always knocking my elbow, running into the wall, stubbing my toe, coming around the corner too fast, catching my shin on the edge of the bed. That one really hurts. Things like that, where I am just constantly clumsy and injuring myself physically over and over and over again. And I, for a long time, just accepted this. But over this last summer, during the process of going through the moving from Tennessee to North Carolina, I was spearheading most of the physical moving of boxes and smaller bits of furniture and stuff. I was doing all that mostly myself. And in that process, I continued to get hurt. And that was kind of normal for me because, as I mentioned, I've always characterized myself as a clumsy person. But it came to a head during the moving process where I continued to get hurt time and time again, and it felt like I was being beat up by the universe on purpose, to the point that I was expressing that to others in my life, calling up my sister or saying to my husband, hey, I am just getting injured over and over in the process of this move, and I don't know what the purpose is. And so for about a week, the first week that I was moving, I was just getting beat up, and not just like little minor bumps and bruises, but, drawing blood, like tripping over a stick in the backyard or things like that, things of that nature where I was sustaining real injuries. I'd like sprained my thumb, things like that were really bothersome and painful. And I didn't know what the message was. It took me a while to figure it out. And after about a week or so of this kind of acceleration or I guess increase in frequency of bodily injuries due to clumsiness, I took a step back and I thought, okay, universe, there is a message for me in this. What is it? What is it? Can you please stop beating me up? You have my attention. Because I kind of thought, okay, maybe I'm just getting these, bumping an elbow here, not leaning over too hard and hitting my head on the edge of a counter, something like that. I thought that was to get my attention. Well, it was getting my attention, but the message was in the continued bodily injury. And what did that mean? And so I decided, okay, it means I need to slow down. It means I need to quit being so hurried, and because this is how I would feel in my mind. My thoughts would run ahead of my physical body. The things that I was working on or trying to do, my thoughts were going ahead of my physical body, and my body was struggling to catch up, if that makes any sense. AKA, I was not embodied. I was not in my body. I was with my mind running 12 paces ahead. And therefore, as my body would kind of in lag time come and catch up, it would sustain some injuries along the way. So I took the message from the universe, okay, I need to slow down. I need to slow down. I need to be more methodical. I need to be more careful. The injuries kind of continued, but slowly started to subside as I became more and more present. It's about mindfulness. That was my message. I needed to become more mindful and present in my body instead of letting my thoughts, not necessarily anxieties, but that running to-do list of all the things that you got to get to in the day, instead of letting that lead me, I needed to learn to bring that energy back within my heart center so that I could stay physically in my body to quit getting injured. So that was one of the lessons that I was learning, right? And I've continued to apply it. I've continued to work on attuning to myself. And as I have allowed myself to be within my body, and as I have allowed myself to sit with hard feelings as they come up, and sit with the inner childhood wounds that I still carry, and offer love and acceptance to those parts and pieces, I'm continuing to draw in these parts and pieces back into my heart center so that my energy is present in my body. It's made a big difference. And I realized the other day when I found myself I woke up really exhausted. It was kind of an off day. I woke up exhausted, and I suddenly found myself back in that place of bumping my elbow on the washing machine as I was transferring laundry, and, pulling in bringing groceries in, and the little, the glass door, like kind of slamming back behind me on the back of my heels way too suddenly where I wasn't expecting it. And I got really frustrated again. I was like, no, I've already learned this lesson. Why am I getting injured again all of a sudden on this one day? Well, in that one day, I was not able to it was not as easy for me to be mindful and present in my body. So I was disembodied and therefore receiving these injuries, these minor pains and bumps and bruises. It made it so clear to me that clumsy nature that I thought I just had, like I just figured that was part of me. It was part of the identity that I would attach to. I realized that's not me. That's what happens when the expression of me is not in alignment with my core self, like when I'm not being heart-centered, when I'm not being present and mindful. So that's the thing, right? I've had to learn to be mindful and present in my body. How do you do that? How do you get to a place where you're present and mindful? And I want to introduce this idea of a sea turtle. Okay, I know this seems like a huge leap, but bear with me. Let me share this experience of my experience with interacting with a sea turtle. When my husband and I were first dating, I took a internship working on a golf course down in Key Largo, Florida. And he came down to visit me, and we got to go snorkeling. We took a boat out and we got to go snorkeling. And, we're down there just doing our thing underwater, very cool, clear waters. And all of a sudden, our little snorkeling group is graced with the presence of this sea turtle. If you've ever gone snorkeling or scuba diving and had an experience with a sea creature like this, I've never swam with the dolphins, but I hear it's, another kind of that mystical, magical experience that people feel that, connection. This was similar. So we got to interact with this sea turtle, and he came floating in, real chill vibe. The energy he carried was magnetic. He was so peaceful. Like his energy, oh, it was so cool. And it kind of held this space. It held everyone kind of in this state of awe. It was all anyone could talk about once we kind of surfaced and came back up to the boat and we're heading back to land. Was, oh my gosh, that sea turtle. How cool was that experience? So in trying to find that center, that place of mindfulness and presence in my day-to-day life, I've realized I need to channel that energy of that sea turtle, of going with the flow, of being one with the waters, of just letting life take me where it needs to go and being in that peacefulness that I felt when I was in the presence of this sea turtle. Okay, and riffing off this, the sea turtle aspect, I don't know if you can see very well. I have these earrings. They were gifted to me by my beloved Brett, my husband, when our first Christmas when we were living in Montana. Now, I loved living in Montana and wish I still did sometimes, but I understand that, I'm happy with where I am in life now in Western North Carolina. But Montana will always hold a place in our hearts because it is a place that the landscape is so beautiful, so breathtaking, so magnificent, and so vast. The amount of landscape that you can take in with one, swath of view is phenomenal. It is called God's country, and for good reason. There is no way to be in Montana and not feel the presence of creation all around you in a way that is so humbling that your ego cannot take over. It just, in my experience, your ego cannot take over your world. It cannot, it's impossible to get so bogged down with the little things, because all you have to do is just look towards the sunrise, look towards the sunset, look towards the expanse of mountains, or look out at the beautiful rivers with the water glimmering. I'm telling you, y'all, it is one of the most beautiful places in the world. And it obviously, I feel a very, a soul connection to that land. And it is because of that humble feeling, that feeling of being so small in the vast beauty of all that this earth has. And these little these little turtle earrings, they were gifted to me at a time when I was living in Montana, and I've always worn them like for job interviews or things like that. I always feel like they bring me good luck, and it's in part because of the energy of this turtle and the peacefulness that comes from going within, being heart-centered, and being unaffected by the chaos of what's going on around, but rather finding that peace within. So that is the image I want to bring to you of how to get to that place of mindfulness and presence. It takes work. It takes healing work. I mean, like I said, I've spent, probably 34 years being super clumsy, and it's only been within the last few months that I feel like that's not necessarily part of my identity. It is not a piece that I have to continue to carry with me. It's a piece that I can go and offer healing to. And the way that healing for that clumsiness, disembodiment, occurs is in finding my heart center, is in finding that peace within myself, channeling my inner sea turtle, going with the flow of life, and being grateful for the role that I have in this world, which may seem small and insignificant, but is also cosmically connected to the divine. Do you know what I'm talking about? Do you feel that sense of peacefulness in your life? What are the mindfulness practices in your life that draw you back into center so that you don't get swept away with the chaos, the tidewaters, the rip currents of, life? What is it that allows you to have your peace, to have your tranquility, and to move through each moment in your body, as opposed to always trying to get your body to play catch up to your thoughts, or, your running to-do list, or whatever it is, that sense of drive that comes from the exterior world? How do you drop out of that and back into your heart center so that you can be present? Because I'm telling you, being present with myself is giving me this gift of attuning to my higher self. Like, I am in progress, in the process of developing spiritual gifts that are very, very cool, and feeling connected to the divinity of creation, God, universe, whatever that word is for you, that sense, that feeling of connection that binds us all. I bet you feel it, whatever you call that. That's what I'm able to tap into when I remain heart-centered. So that is what I'm aiming to do. So from now on, when I get a little bump, bruise, catch an elbow here or there, hit my head, it will be a reminder to me, I need to come back to center. I need to embody the energy of that peaceful sea turtle and let that carry me forward. I run a carnivore wellness community, and it's very small. A handful of us get together every Friday at 1 p.m. Eastern Standard Time and chit-chat for an hour or so. We talk about our meat-based lifestyles and, no dogma there, carnivore, whatever, ketovore, do whatever you want to do. But we do have conversations, maybe not as woo-woo as this, but oftentimes we are open to talking about the personal growth, the emotional challenges and that we might face and how we can overcome them, and really just kind of taking stock of where we are in our journeys. Because yes, carnivore, the eating of the food and allowing the physical body to heal is so important, and I would not be here in this place of spiritual awakening without it. That said, there's more to the journey than just what you put on your plate and put in your mouth. There's what you put in your mind, there's what you allow into your heart. And we need to hold space for that. And so that is what this carnivore wellness community is for those kind of conversations. So if that sounds like the place for you, if you're interested, if you want to come hang out with a loving, supportive, encouraging group of very kind-hearted people, I invite you sincerely to come and do that. All you need to do is join the email list, and I will send out a Zoom link once a week. With that link, it's free. Join, share what's going on in your life, what's going on in your journey, and how is it helping you be the best version of yourself that you can be. I love you. I know you love you. I hope you feel that in the present moment. If you don't, it's okay. You will get there. The healing that comes when we take time to sit with parts and pieces of ourselves and reintegrate that into our heart space so that we can be fully present and embodied in all that we do, that is coming for you. We'd love to help in the carnivore wellness community if that feels like a good opportunity for you to get in touch with your best self, your best version of who you want to be. See y'all next time.